It's a beautifully dark night. The stars are shining overhead. There's no moon. And you have your telescope set up. And if you're like me, you may be using a go to telescope. And you're all set. And you touch the screen on your phone or a tablet, and away goes the telescope to find that target that you have chosen. But really, how well do you know the night sky? Hi, my name is Raymond Shubinski, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about star charts and star atlases and why they're important to use in supplement and also for planning when you go out to observe. Now, I divide these star charts into two basic categories. One is the chart itself, which typically is a very simple kind of chart with a very few stars, but it gives you a whole view of the sky to help you orient exactly what is going on in the sky at that time. The star atlases, however, are a lot more detailed, and you can use them ahead of time to really plan your nights observing. Also, they give you tremendous amounts of information that you may not have been aware of. So, let me begin and talk about two of my favorite star charts. For 50 years now, Abrams Planetarium at Michigan State University, my old alma mater, has been producing something called the Sky Calendar. The Sky Calendar has a very basic star chart on one side that, again, orients you to the sky so that you can really get a feel for what's going on over your head. As you can see, and this isn't detailed, but as you can see, there's not a lot of stars on any of these particular charts. The nice thing about the Sky Calendar is on the other side, it also lists what's going on day by day of interest in the sky. It's really useful, and it's just one example of the many different types of star charts that are out there that you might make available to yourself for these observing sessions. Now, if you don't want to carry around 12 monthly star charts in your observing kit, you might try a planisphere, and I'm sure most of you have seen this sort of thing. A planisphere is actually a rotating star chart that you can set for any time of night and for any night of the year. And you can literally just dial in the sky for when you're observing. You're not going to use this for the detailed observation of the sky, but once more, as I have said, it really gives you a feel of the entire sky and what's going on and how you might want to utilize your observing time. So, something simple like the Abrams Planetarium Sky Calendar and Star Chart, a planisphere, and of course, there are many other examples out there that you might want to use. Perhaps the most important and famous and well known star atlas that amateurs have been using for many, many years, and professionals as well, is the Norton's Sky Atlas or the Norton Star Atlas. This is a copy from 1925, and it is full of information. And it's actually the third edition. The first edition was produced in 1910. So this has been around for over 100 years. Well, back in 2024, Norton's was totally revised. And as you can see, it's much larger in format than it was at one time. The Norton Star Atlas now is a comprehensive observing guide that provides moon maps, information about how to find deep sky objects, and much more information. There are 24 different maps that cover the sky, and this is just one example. And the maps contain stars down to 6.5 magnitude and 9,000 stars. Now, they also contain hundreds of double stars and over 600 deep sky objects such as galaxies, nebulas, and so on. As I've said, this is a long lasting example of a star atlas that is extremely useful and still relevant to this day. Now, the next example that I have is one that is pretty contemporary, much newer than the Nortons. It's called the Cambridge Star Atlas, and it was produced by a gentleman named Will Tirion. And in the next few examples that I'm going to give, you're going to keep hearing Will Tirion's name. Will Tirion was a Dutch cartographer. He just passed away in 2024 after many, many years of making sky maps for observers like you and like me. This is similar to the Norton's Sky Atlas. When this was produced, it was had in mind something very simple that you can use to, again, set your evenings of observation and so on. It has stars down to 6.5 magnitude, same as the Norton Sky Atlas, and it also contains over 900 non-stellar objects. The nice thing about the Cambridge Sky Atlas is that it has a complete set of monthly sky maps, similar to the Abrams Planetarium map, that cover both the northern and the southern hemisphere. But then it also has 20 detailed maps. And again, I know you can't see the detail in this, but 20 detailed maps that you can use to plot your evening's observatory as well. This is a great resource and just another example of something that is out there, not just for the beginner, but for those observers who are more advanced but need to know exactly what they're looking at. Now, anyone who's read some of my stories in Astronomy magazine knows that I love the history of astronomy. And I have a lot of old astronomy books. And one of the sky atlases, not terribly old, that I have on my shelf was produced in France, I believe in 1955, originally in French. And it's called the Atlas of the Sky, as you can see here. In 1958, it was translated into English, and it has a rather unique and special way of representing the sky. I'm showing this just as an example that not all sky atlases are the same. By the way, this is long out of print, of course, but you can go online. I found mine that way. And if you really like something like this, you can still find it. Now, the author of this particular sky atlas did something rather unique. You can see here that there is a large full page star chart, in this case of Hercules, in black with white stars. Most star atlases show a negative view of the sky with a white background and black stars. This is nice because it really gives you a sense and feeling of what the sky is going to look like when you take this out under the stars. On the facing page, the author has also provided quite a bit of information relevant to that star chart. Once again, this is just a nice example of something that's rather different when it comes to star atlases. The next set of star atlases that I want to talk about are a lot more detailed. Now, when you're out there under that dark night sky, just looking at the stars, the unaided eye can see approximately 7,000 stars, down to about 6.5 magnitudes, depending on conditions, of course. What happens when you take out, say, an 8-inch telescope? All of a sudden, you're seeing as many as 14 million stars. And under the right conditions, you can see down to perhaps 14th magnitude. When you're using an instrument like that, even a relatively small 8-inch telescope, you need a great deal more detail than you had previously. And so, the next star atlas that I would like to show you, and one that I've used quite a bit over the years, also by Will Chirion, along with authors Barry Rappaport, George Lovey. and was produced originally in 1987, is the Uranometria 2000. This is actually a two-volume set. It covers both the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. This volume, as you can see, is for the northern hemisphere. There are 160 charts total in these books, and the limiting magnitude for the stars is 9.5. So you're seeing many, many more stars in this atlas than you would on a basic star chart, such as the Cambridge Atlas of Stars. The 160 charts also uh, contain thousands of non-stellar objects that you can locate and find with your telescope. Once again, and I'll open this up so you can at least kind of get an idea of what it looks like. These charts are shown in a grid fashion so that you can plot what you're looking at by right ascension and declination. And it's extremely comprehensive. And once again, there's a good deal of information about all the objects that you may want to find. There's one other aspect of this particular publication that I really enjoy. The first 42 pages of the book are a detailed history of the Star Atlas. And it's really enjoyable. And I think if you like this kind of information as much as I do, you would really enjoy that. Now, moving on. What I've shown you so far are books, bound books. And they're great for reference, for getting ready for going outdoors and observing. It's nice to have a flat set of atlases to work with when you're planning your evening. I've been showing you bound books, which are wonderful, and you can utilize them quite easily. Some years ago, Sky Publishing produced the desktop copy of the Sky Atlas 2000. This is a series of 26 charts, very similar to the ones that I've been showing you, also produced by Will Tirion, that you can lay out on the desk and write on. They're very, very handy for planning your observation for the night. They contain something on the order of 43,000 stars down to magnitude 8. This star chart is based on the Smithsonian Astrophysical Observatory catalog and contain over 2,500 star clusters, nebulas, and other deep sky objects for your observation. Now, one of the things I love when I go observing is double and multiple star systems. There's even a star atlas just for observers like me and perhaps for you as well. Once again, our hero, Will Tirion, has produced the Cambridge Atlas of Double Stars. This is a specialized kind of atlas that allows you to locate, in this case, multiple and double star systems that you may want to observe. I've noticed in the databases for the go-to systems that are available for amateur telescopes, there are many, many double stars listed, but they don't really give a tremendous amount of information. In this particular publication, there is not only the charts themselves, but lists that go on that provide you all the information you need to determine which multiple star systems you may actually want to use. So this is an interesting example of a star chart that is very specific for a type of observing run that you might want to do. Now then, how about a little bit of fun with this? The next atlas I'm going to show you is the Complete Star Atlas that was published by Astronomy magazine in 2006. Rather like the Norton Star Atlas, the revised version, it's full of information, including the star charts. There are 24 charts included in this publication, containing somewhere on the order of 80,000 stars down to magnitude 8.5. So the charts are very comprehensive. They cover the entire northern and southern hemisphere. They also host hundreds of nebula, galaxies, and other deep sky objects. What I really like about this publication is that there are lists of Messier objects, planets, and detailed information on observing techniques, even the use of different kinds of equipment. The author of this publication also chose, like the French atlas that I showed you earlier, chose to use a dark background, in this case, a very dark blue, with white stars represented in a way that makes it feel very natural when you look at this particular star chart. This is a great resource and one that I have been using ever since it became available. The nice thing about this also is it's just very up to date and very comprehensive. Now, I have a very special star chart that I want to show you that's been hanging on my wall for quite a while. This is an equatorial star chart, and I'll try to hold this so that you can really see it. And as you can see, I did frame this one. The straight line across the center of this star chart represents the celestial equator, and the sort of sinusoidal wave form that you see on there represents the apparent path of the sun, the ecliptic, throughout the year. And you can see it crosses that line twice. The reason I enjoy this so much, and I've had it around for so long, is you might see that blue triangle there. It's a sticky triangle. And I move it about once every week to see where the sun is along the ecliptic and what constellations it might be in. And you may be thinking, this is pretty old school, very analog. But sometimes analog information is more comprehensive than what you get from a digital, uh, instantaneous kind of experience that you do with the go-to telescopes and the information that are uh, online. Now, of course, you can go online. You can go on uh, your tablet and so on. You can find apps of star charts. Of course, there's some wonderful planetarium style programs, but there's just nothing quite like utilizing an actual atlas. Why? Because an atlas gives you an opportunity to see relationships. And it's really a serendipitous kind of experience. Okay, tonight I'm going to look at this particular cluster of galaxies. Oh, look here on my chart. Look at everything else that I didn't even think of. So, star charts really can play an important role in not only planning your observing sessions, but in expanding your knowledge of the sky as well. Now, sky maps have been around for thousands of years. People have been using them for a very long time, and I really encourage you to do so. In fact, it reminds me of a quote from an ancient Greek astronomer, Claudius Ptolemy. And he said, "When I follow the multitude of stars in their circular course, my feet no longer touch the ground." Well, my challenge to you is grab yourself a star atlas and go take a walk among the stars. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation.